Muscle cars that were years ahead of their time. Welcome back to Vintage Wheels Chronicles. Today, we're diving into the wild world of muscle cars. But not just any muscle cars. We're talking about the ones that were years ahead of their time. These cars were packed with radical design, cutting-edge aerodynamics, and features the public wasn't ready for. At the time, some were laughed at, some misunderstood, and some ignored. But today, they're seen as pioneers, trailblazers that dared to be different. Buckle up. Here are 3 futuristic muscle machines that arrived too early for their own good. 1. 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona. The 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona looked like a spaceship that landed on a NASCAR track. It was created for one purpose: to dominate high-speed oval racing. And it did just that, thanks to its outrageous aerodynamic enhancements. That 18-inch nose cone and the towering rear wing weren't just for show. They were wind tunnel tested for real performance. It was one of the first American cars to use aerodynamics as a weapon, not just styling. While other muscle cars were boxy, the Daytona cut through the air like a knife. Its drag coefficient was better than many sports cars that came decades later. Under the hood, you had options like the legendary 426 Hemi 5.8. That engine alone made it a beast, but combined with the slick body, it became unstoppable. In fact, it was the first NASCAR car to break 200 miles per hour on the track. That was mind-blowing in 1969. Dodge built it in limited numbers. Around 500 street versions had to be made to qualify for racing. On the street, people were confused. It looked insane, and the tall wing was seen as overkill. Some dealers couldn't even sell them and had to discount. But racers knew this car was no joke. It won races and forced rule changes in NASCAR. Because of the Daytona, NASCAR banned wings and nose cones. It was simply too good. It was misunderstood by many in its day. But now, it's a legend, worth hundreds of thousands at auction. People finally appreciate how advanced it really was. Its influence can still be seen in modern motorsports aerodynamics. The Daytona wasn't just ahead of its time. It changed the rules. Its radical shape was a preview of how form and function could merge in muscle cars. Even today, few muscle cars look as aggressive and purposeful as the Daytona. It made performance an engineering challenge, not just a horsepower war. That's why it's not just a collector's item. It's a piece of racing history. Modern Dodge muscle owes a lot to this car's bravery. It showed that to win, you sometimes have to look weird and be proud of it. Every time you see a Hellcat or a Charger SRT, remember, it all started with the Daytona. It was mocked by some, worshipped by others, but it never played it safe. And that's what made it a true pioneer. This wasn't just a muscle car. It was a missile on wheels. It didn't just arrive too early. It brought the future with it. 2. 1973 Pontiac Grand Am. In 1973, Pontiac introduced the Grand Am, and no, not the 90s rental car version. This was a unique experiment, part muscle car, part European luxury sports sedan. At a time when muscle cars were dying out due to emissions and insurance costs, the Grand Am tried to evolve the formula. It borrowed handling cues from European touring cars and wrapped them in American V8 power. It came with a 400 or 455 cubic inch V8, delivering real torque. But what set it apart was how it felt. It had radial-tuned suspension, unheard of in most Detroit muscle. The ride was smooth, but cornering was surprisingly tight for such a big car. It also featured a refined interior, bucket seats, wood grain, and even optional power everything. The styling was bold. The front end had unique urethane nose panels called Endura, which resisted dents. It was elegant yet aggressive, a strange combo at the time. The goal? To give Americans a performance car that also felt premium. It was aimed at buyers who didn't want the flashiness of a Trans Am, but still loved speed. Pontiac even said it had the heart of a GTO and the soul of a Grand Prix. Sadly, buyers didn't understand what it was trying to be. Sales were slow, and the car was dropped after just a few years. But in hindsight, it was way ahead of its time. It predicted the rise of performance luxury sedans like the BMW M5 or Audi S6. It tried to offer both comfort and power in one cohesive package, something the market wasn't quite ready to embrace. Now, collectors see the early Grand Ams as hidden gems. Their styling and tech are finally being appreciated. It also helped Pontiac redefine itself in the mid-70s. The Grand Am was a thinking man's muscle car, subtle, sophisticated, but still powerful. If more people had caught on, it might have changed Pontiac's future. But even as a forgotten chapter, it showed us what muscle could become. It challenged the idea that muscle cars had to be brash and raw. Instead, it blended performance, comfort, and innovation. That combination is common now, but in 1973, it was revolutionary. The Grand Am didn't roar, it spoke intelligently. And now, decades later, we're finally listening. 3. 1970 AMC AMX. The AMC AMX was the underdog muscle car that always punched above its weight. In 1970, it reached its peak, and the world still wasn't ready. Unlike most muscle cars, the AMX was a true two-seater, making it rare from the start. AMC wanted to build something that competed with the Corvette but was more affordable. And they did, with bold styling and serious performance. It had a short wheelbase, giving it sharp handling and a nimble feel. The 1970 model featured an aggressive new front end and rear spoiler. Under the hood, a 390 cubic inch V8 pushing 325 horsepower. This thing flew 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds. It could corner better than most big muscle cars of the era. And the interior was clean and driver-focused. No frills, just speed. It even came with an optional Go package, which added performance suspension, stripes, and better tires. The AMX didn't have the marketing budget of the big three, but what it lacked in fame, it made up for in attitude. It was compact, confident, and completely different. Its design was smooth and modern, almost European in feel. It wasn't about raw size, it was about balance. In that way, it was years ahead of the Detroit muscle formula. It didn't try to copy, it created its own identity. Sadly, it was misunderstood and discontinued by 1971. People didn't know what to make of a short, two-seat muscle car. But today, it's recognized as one of AMC's boldest creations. The 1970 AMX is now a collector's dream. Rare, fast, and incredibly cool. It showed that muscle didn't have to mean massive. It was about power in a smaller, smarter package. Modern cars like the BMW Z4M or even the Mustang EcoBoost owe a little to the AMX's DNA, because it proved you could shrink the size but keep the soul. It's a car that dared to be different and paid the price, but now it's getting the recognition it always deserved. In 1970, it felt like a car from another planet. Today, we realize it was simply from the future. The AMX didn't just race, it rebelled, and in doing so, it became a true original. These muscle cars weren't just powerful, They were visionary. They brought new ideas, challenged traditions, and paved the way for the cars we love today. If you love stories like this, subscribe to Vintage Wheels Chronicles and join the ride through automotive history.